In our world, war is a failure. It is the collapse of diplomacy, a tragedy of the highest order, and a nightmare that we spend our entire lives trying to avoid. We build monuments to peace. We pray for quiet, but step into the 41st millennium, and you will find a universe that has completely inverted the human condition. In the grim darkness of the far future, war is no longer a disaster. It is a baseline. It is the heartbeat of a galaxy that has completely forgotten how to breathe in silence. We tell ourselves that the Imperium of Man fights to survive. We say that the endless meat grinder is a tragic necessity against the horrors of the warp and the alien swarms. But if you look closely at the architecture of human suffering, a much darker, much more terrifying truth reveals itself. Humanity didn't just fall into the abyss, we built our home inside it. Today, we are going to explore the ultimate psychological horror of Warhammer 40,000. We are going to look at why the Imperium doesn't just endure the eternal slaughter. We are going to understand how and why humanity learned to love the war. To understand this addiction, you must first look at the Imperium not as a government, but as a colossal, self-sustaining weapon. For 10,000 years, every single aspect of human civilization has been entirely re-engineered to serve the battlefield. There is no concept of a peacetime economy. There is no art that does not glorify martyrdom. There is no architecture that is not heavily fortified. The administratum, the bureaucratic leviathan that rules 1,000,000 worlds, does not know how to build a society for prosperity. It only knows how to build a society for the slaughterhouse. Imagine for a moment the impossible. Imagine if peace were to suddenly break out across the galaxy, if the Tyranids turned back, if the warp calmed, if the orcs vanished. The Imperium would not celebrate. It would instantly and catastrophically collapse. Thousands of forge worlds, populated by trillions of souls who only know how to forge armor and bolt shells, would starve in a matter of days. The massive fleets of the Imperial Navy would have no purpose. The entire social, economic, and religious structure of humanity is entirely dependent on the existence of an enemy. War is the only gravity keeping the Imperium from tearing itself apart. We do not just wage war to sustain the economy. War is the economy. But the addiction goes far deeper than logistics. It is embedded in the very biology and psychology of the galaxy's inhabitants. Evolution itself has been hijacked by 10 millennia of constant, unending trauma. Look at the Adeptus Astartes, the Space Marines. They are engineered to be the ultimate defenders of humanity, yet they are biologically incapable of experiencing fear and heavily stripped of normal human desires. The only true joy, the only profound sense of brotherhood and fulfillment they can achieve is found in the crucible of combat. They are demigods built to crave the very thing that kills them. And then look at the orcs. The orcs are the dark mirror held up to the galaxy. They do not fight for territory, for ideology, or for survival. They fight because it is fun. They are a genetically engineered biological weapon that has achieved a terrifying form of enlightenment. They are the only species that truly thrives in the 41st millennium because they have accepted the universe for exactly what it is. To humanity, the universe is a nightmare we refuse to wake up from. But deep down, the adrenaline of the trench, the frantic desperation of a bayonet charge, is the only dopamine hit left for a species that has forgotten how to feel anything else. When there is absolutely no hope for a better life, you find a twisted, euphoric joy in a better death. Peace is an incredibly complicated concept. Peace requires thought, compromise, empathy, and the terrifying burden of figuring out what to do with your life. But war? War is beautifully, seductively simple. The enemy is right there. You are right here. You either kill or you are killed. In a universe as massive, uncaring, and incomprehensible as Warhammer 40,000, that simplicity is a psychological sanctuary. Existential dread is the luxury of a peaceful mind. A factory worker on a hive world, coughing up blood from industrial smog, does not have to worry about the meaning of the universe. The Emperor has already given him his meaning. Die for the throne. The soldier freezing in the mud does not have to worry about his life's purpose because his purpose is screaming towards him with a chain axe. The Imperium provides absolute certainty for every single human life, no matter how brief and brutal that life may be. We embrace the war because it saves us from the paralyzing emptiness of our own existence. Free will is a liability in the dark. Obedience to the meat grinder is a comfort. To maintain this endless machine, humanity had to build a culture entirely founded on the concept of the other. The imperial cult preaches one universal truth above all else: hate. Hate the alien, hate the mutant, hate the heretic. We tell ourselves that this hatred is a shield to protect our souls from the corrupting influence of chaos. But a shield held for too long eventually becomes a cage. We have become totally trapped in our own animosity. Without the heretic, there is no justification for the Inquisition. Without the traitor, there is no reason for the loyalist to feel righteous. The Imperium has fed its hatred for so long that it has become the core pillar of human identity. We cannot stop fighting because we have literally forgotten how to forgive, how to understand, or how to tolerate. The galaxy didn't force us to love war. We chose to love it to stop ourselves from screaming. Hate is the only emotion that is more addictive than faith, and the Imperium has an endless supply of both. We need the monsters in the dark, because without them, we would have to look at the monsters we have become. War is the ultimate transaction. The Imperium pays an ocean of blood every single day just to buy one more sunrise for the human race. But the tragic irony of the eternal war is that it is a promise of a future that will never, ever arrive. We are running a race towards a finish line that doesn't exist, fueled entirely by a twisted love for the act of running itself. We have become so efficient at dying, so deeply entrenched in the methodology of slaughter, that we have completely forgotten how to actually win. The grand, sweeping victories of the Great Crusade are a forgotten myth. Now, victory is simply defined as not going extinct today. The process is the prize, the stalemate is the goal. Humanity is locked in a glorious, horrific embrace with its own destruction, waltzing on the edge of the abyss because the dance is the only thing we know how to do. In the end, humanity will not die from a Xenos blade or a Tyrannid swarm, or even the fires of a demonic incursion. If we perish, we will die because we simply ran out of things to hate, because the fire finally consumed all the fuel. But for now, the bolters still bark in the dark, the void ships still burn in the cold, and the trillions of soldiers still march into the meat grinder with litanies on their lips. Because in the 41st millennium, the most terrifying thing isn't the war, the bloodshed, or the cruelty. The most terrifying thing is the silence that would come after. We learned to love the war because we were too afraid to find out what we would become without it. If you enjoyed this descent into the darkest corners of Warhammer 40k philosophy, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments, do you think humanity could ever survive peace? Until next time, the Emperor protects.